certain areas of our lives, certain events distort the way in which we come to know ourselves and behave. And that self-doubt becomes habitual, and it starts to be who we think we are. And it becomes so much a part of who we are that we don't even see it anymore. And inner fitness is really about being able to see what no longer serves you, being able to see what limits you, so that you can actually make the choice of moving beyond it, creating new habits, moving beyond it into that better iteration of yourself. Inner fitness is the development of mental, emotional, and spiritual skills and practices that help foster resilience, relieve stress, and help you to resolve unresolved issues so that you can thrive instead of just survive. The effect of inner fitness is the possession of a greater sense of self and a sense of what's possible for your life, regardless of circumstances, and developing the habit of using every life experience to grow. Up until now, things in life, your perspective about yourself have been whatever they've been. But from this point forward, it can change. Science has proven that the brain is never stagnant. So from this point forward, things can change. Expanding into that better iteration of self requires better information. That's the only thing that is between us and that better iteration of ourselves. Information, and then strategies that help us apply, practice the information, exactly like physical fitness. You know, when it comes to physical fitness, we all are either, making diet or exercise considerations, and we are employing them in our lives on a regular basis. When it comes to inner fitness, it's about gaining information and then using the information in strategic ways, applying it and allowing ourselves to actually grow from the inside, become strong and resilient. Old conscious behavior and limiting beliefs must be interrupted. That's the only way for a new sense of self and way of being to enter. The old has to be interrupted. And I had a dream some time ago that gave me a frame that has changed my life in terms of how I go through life and see myself and have the power to interrupt the old. So this is what this dream has shared with me. That inside of us, we are always moving in between these three personalities. The surviving self that is always in worry, doubt, and fear. The surviving self operates from againstness. Something's wrong, something's not good enough, something needs to be done. It's otherness, them over there, me over here. It's survival. The thriving self is always, that's the self that was actually moving up the beach. The thriving self is always moving forward. The thriving self it moves with a sense of openness, a sense of curiosity, a sense of enthusiasm, a sense of something more being possible, a sense of the future. The thriving self works from hope and, again, possibility and love. And it is a non-stop movement forward. And the infinite self is that part that is ancient. I like to think of the infinite self like clay. Clay that can morph into all of these different forms, but it's always the same. It's the self that holds everything, that knows the truth. It's the self that holds all of our knowingness. It's the intelligent force of the universe actually living through us. And so we are moving in and out of these cells all day, every day. And inner fitness is about being able to see the surviving self more clearly, understand that the surviving self has been its way of being, its knee-jerk way of being is actually very normal. These nervous systems that we have been developing for 500 million years. And so to get us from a one-cell amoeba to where we are today, there has had to be quite a bit of attention on surviving. But we now have these frontal lobes. You know, the brain has taken on major shifts 3 times. And these frontal lobes that we have, the frontal lobe allows us what's called greater executive thinking. We can be more rational. We can literally be more centered in our ability to respond and not just react to life. And so the thriving self is that part of us that can be built because the frontal lobe exists. And the more we exercise, the more we take charge of what used to be reactive behavior, the more space we make for the frontal lobe or the executive behavior inside of us. And so we really can, when they say that the brain is never stagnant, it is growing until the day we die, we truly can begin to take charge of behavior that we never thought we could get in front of. This is all about us being able to move from worry, doubt, and fear to hope, enthusiasm, and a sense of possibility, from rejection to acceptance, and from what's wrong to gratitude. We talk about the observer's chair, where you sit above your life in like a director's chair and you watch it. You watch it like you're watching a movie. Awareness can build more quickly when you have a certain amount of objectivity. So as you watch your life and you see the things that you haven't seen or haven't plugged in before, and you see your surviving self in action, you now have indicators of when that stuff is rising up and that stuff is coming into your life to what? To disrupt your intention towards that better iteration of yourself, towards your freedom. Okay, so when it comes to the surviving self, I am telling you all, everybody read this out loud to yourself. Never underestimate the surviving self's presence in your life and its intention to not just be seen, but to actually run things. Never, ever underestimate it. Here's the deal. Everybody has something, because everybody has a nervous system that has been encoded for survival, which means encoded with limitations when the survival strategies of old don't match up to the lives that we're living now. So our job is to, again, see and acknowledge so that we can begin to dismantle by interrupting that experience, that old way of seeing ourselves and being with ourselves. Because if you see yourself in its limited view of you, it will live and be stronger. But the truth is, you do have the thriving self inside of you. Every accomplishment that you have made, every way in which you have made a difference in your life or the lives of people around you, every way in which you have dreamed, is evidence of your thriving self. And so it's really important that we begin to see clearly both of these energies in operation. And I'm not leaving the infinite self out, but the infinite self, it's always like, it's like, grass that can grow through concrete. The infinite self is that part of us that it is making the room for the awareness and the freedom. So when it comes to looking at yourself, sit in that observer's chair and don't just see the surviving self. Also know that your thriving self, and you're moving in and out of your thriving self, just like you're moving in and out of your surviving self. And your job is to be more deliberate in that dance. So we're now going to read down the thriving self characteristics. And now read these down out loud. What are you willing to do? What are you committed to in terms of strengthening your surviving self? You get to ask yourself that question. You get to ask yourself, are you willing to look at to see what needs to be seen, to heal what needs to be healed? I invite you to take this one question, and here is an uncommon choice that you can make to strengthen your thriving infinite self. It's an uncommon choice. Will you make it? I would like to suggest that as your homework, you write this one question: how can I access my thriving infinite self more? And I suggest you write it 100 times, just like you had to do way back in the day in school. And as you write this question, you literally have an open, seeking heart that is curious, that is enthusiastic, that is open and hopeful. Asking a question out loud, it honors the fact that the infinite self that holds all of our answers is listening and always responding to our hearts. Asking the question starts everything because it opens you. It makes you curious. Yes, you want to constantly invite in, let your system know that you are ready to grow. You are ready to move into that better iteration of yourself. Come thrive at Phoenix Rising, February 2024. Inner Fitness community, I invite you to stay, join, and learn to turn wellness concepts into action. Living life well takes practice, y'all. So simply click the subscribe button to practice together, grow this conversation, and change the world. I can't wait to read your comments and hear how your life changes for the better. Thank you for subscribing. Let's thrive.